Welcome, beautiful souls, to the Live Lounge Show. Coming to you live from our lounge in Sarasota. I'm Caroline Crawford.
And I'm Paul Crawford.
And this is our little offering of Christmas decorations. We're a bit slow this year with the well, we've got lots outside. Christine, beautiful Christine, my soul sister, is going to be joining us a little later on the show. She's going to be talking all about animal totems. But the whole range of the show, the topic tonight, I'm so excited about this, and I know our friends are, is spiritual guides, their role they play in our lives, and really how they can help us to evolve. So I think I'm going first.
Yes, you are indeed. Yeah, your turn to go first today.
Okay, so what are spirit guides? Well, they are obviously consciousness that are in the non-physical world, but they come as teachers, as guides, as inspirers and healers to help us to evolve our personal growth, to evolve our spirit, and to really live our lives and help us to live our lives to our truest and fullest potential, to help us expand in this physical life into a greater energy, if you like, of our true existence. Now, indigenous tribes, and ancient people from all around the globe, all around the world for thousands of years, have always believed and prayed and called on spirit, both animals as well, animal spirits, to assist them in their daily lives, whether it's helping them with their spiritual powers, with their intuition, with their work, with assisting others to help them in a healing way. And this is now, I think, becoming a lot more to the fore in the world, because I feel that particularly now, I think people are looking for something more to life, to regain that connection to our spiritual selves. And because we are spirit, people often forget this. They think sometimes of spirit as woo-woo, but we are spirit. We have a spirit. We are here on this earth for a time, and we are incarnated from the spirit world. And this is where our guides are assigned to us before we are actually born onto planet Earth, into our physical bodies. And we have one main guide. Everybody has guides, by the way. You don't have to be a spiritual leader, or a priest or a goddess. We all have guides, every single one of us, whether we're aware of them or not. It really doesn't matter. But we are assigned, we have a main guide that stays with us throughout our lives. And then as we evolve, different guides are assigned to us. And to me, it's very much like living our lives in the physical world. We all have friends that we have for a certain amount of time, and then as our lives evolve, we might move country, we might move to a different workplace, we might move our animals that we love and care for, like horses, to a different place, become into contact with more people, and so our friendships evolve. And it's just the same with our spiritual guides. The only difference, thank goodness, is our spiritual guides never, ever, ever judge us. They only have our best interests at heart. They can see us for, in a way, they can see what we need, some inspiration we may need comfort at a certain time. We may need business help, but they have helped us in all areas of our lives. And we all have these guides that, as I said, are assigned to us. So I'm just going to let Paul...
Yeah, but I think that's an important point where you said about that as we change, as we develop and expand, that you have extra other spirit guides that come in to you, because it's like, as you say, it's not just friendship, but within anything that we're doing in life, when you get to a certain point, then you might need something else just to help take you that little bit further. And it's the same with the spiritual work and the spiritual development and understanding, and the spirit guides that are there to help you in whichever way they can. And it's the fact that in them helping us to bring about that greater loving energy within this physical incarnation actually helps us to expand, because we're allowing our spirit self, the truth of who we are, to play a stronger role within our lives. But that then also helps to expand all of creation, because as soon as we can expand to a greater loving energy within ourselves, that love expands within all of existence.
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, I was looking through some things that I wanted to talk to you about today, and I find that we repeat things because everything is consciousness. Everything in this world, and as everything, as we've said before, is interconnected and interrelated. So as we evolve, our spiritual guides evolve, and so the universe evolves. It's a constant, like a wave. That's how I like to think of it. You know, today, as you know, every day we meditate. I'll connect through my heart to my spirit self, and as I said, we mustn't lose sight that within us lies our spirit, lies our greater understanding, our greater love, if you like, and wisdom that we can tap into. And our guides, the more in tune we are with ourselves, the more in tune and the easier it is for our spiritual guides to influence us, to inspire us. And they can do this in different ways. This is what's interesting. You know, it's happened a few times when we were perhaps going to go somewhere, or I was, and I thought, I've changed my mind at the last minute, and then met somebody and thought, gosh, you know, if I hadn't responded to that thought, to that feeling of going somewhere else, I wouldn't have met that person. And they can also help us to be very much in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
The more we evolve and the more we can express who we are in the world, the greater expansion that's having on all of creation. So coming back to our guides, they can also be people we've had previous lives with, which we won't go too far into, but Paul and I, through Paul's team of drama, know that we have had lives before together, and that these guides that are with us have been on an ever evolving pathway with us. But your guides and your helpers can also be your family and your friends that you've had a close bond and a close connection with. You know, people sometimes discount this, but we've had this proven to us. Oh, I've gone all tingly. I've lit up time and time again. You know, Paul's sister Sharon, she was on the earth for 38 years, and just before she passed away, she'd actually moved to live with her boyfriend in Vienna. And she called us, and I'll never forget, you know when you know somebody's trying to tell you something else. And she said to me, Caroline, I keep seeing my grandparents. And I said, you
said,
will, they're with you.
Yeah, she said, I keep seeing Nana. And we said, she's interested and she wants to bring it. She said, yeah, but it's all the time.
No, but she said to me, Caroline, I've got to tell you, it's all the time. And she really felt something was going to happen. And it was only 3 days later that she was killed in a road accident. Now, it was a little while later, because Paul and I have always sat and meditated together, and we used to have a group also on a Sunday night. And she'd come through because she was very intuitive. She was clairvoyant. She also had mediumistic abilities. And she said to me way back then, I said to Paul, you know, I don't know exactly what it is, but Sharon is going to be working with me in some way. And then more recent, well, a few years after that, we were told through Jarama that she's part of the collective consciousness, because we all have a team of guides. It isn't just one. And in my team, Sharon and my dear beloved mum is very much a part of my team. And I was very emotional when I first found out. And this is another sign that your guides are with you. They'll give you a feeling. You will feel maybe a little bit of a stronger emotion through your heart, feel the tingling, you might feel cool, you might feel just a greater sense of feeling more loving. So guides can be your family, they can be also your animals, which we'll talk about a bit later.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that's it. And I know when with my sister, it's funny really, because we used to sit in development circle together at home. My mum used to run this what we call a closed development circle, and I had my mum obviously, my sister, my nan, and my auntie, and then from time to time there was a couple of other close friends that would come and join us. So really, my sister has been a part of my whole journey, and she still continues to be. Obviously, the fact that she's working with you, that she also comes and works with me from time to time.
Well, and this is the other thing. Guides are not just for one person. You know, we know that our guides interchange with each other, which is lovely. I mean, I must drive Paul's team mad, because when we have a channeling session, I'm so curious. I've always got question after question, but that's how I learn. And they do laugh. They say, you know, we're used to Caroline. Yeah. But often I'll ask a question and they'll give me an answer, and then that gives rise to another question, and I'm just full of it.
But that's what development's all about, isn't it? It's
curious.
About being curious. It's about asking questions, and it's about then getting a response and an understanding or a knowing from your spirit team. So and a lot of times, rather than thinking of terms in spirit guides, I often think that it's a spirit team, a non-physical team that are there as a collective to assist and help us. It's a bit like having a backing team that's there just to help you in your corner with some advice, some energy, some upliftment.
I think it's important also to say that they don't tell you what to do. You know, in years gone by, I think there was quite a lot of misunderstanding about what spirit, that their role is to help us evolve. And we can't evolve and grow if we're told what to do. So they will inspire us. They will, I sometimes say to Jarama, oh, you're so elusive, and I've asked him a question, but they like us to find the answer within ourselves. That's how we truly evolve. And our spirit guides, that is exactly what they do. They help us, they'll inspire us, they'll point us in the direction to find the answers within ourselves. This is how we learn. You know, people can tell you how to ride a horse. They could give you all the instructions, couldn't they, Paul?
Well, yeah.
But you could get on that horse and it makes no difference. But you've got to experience life and find these answers, because the universe, along with our guides and along with that universal wisdom, that universal consciousness, is all part of the whole, and we must never lose sight that we are spirit, and that we connect to that through prayer, through meditation, through evolving as a kind being. And these benevolent, compassionate beings, wise beings that, you know, some have walked the earth before. As I said, some can be family, some can be friends, but some of the higher guides of these higher vibrations, and you do know when you've had a visit from one of them, they've maybe never had to incarnate onto the earth because they're of such a high frequency. But we've had that when we haven't known exactly what or who it is. but there's been this immense, profound energy of love. And then Jerome has told us we have been visited by somebody that's overseeing us. So, I mean, guides are there to help you, to inspire you, and almost like a Sherpa. You know, if you were going on a mountain trail, a mountain hike, you'd have somebody that just helped you find your way, but you would have to place your feet where they needed to go, and you would be the one that would look out at the beautiful vistas. So they're there to inspire us, and we do have one that is with us all our lives, that is our main guide, and others that will help you in whatever endeavours you have in life, whether you work as a healer, as a light worker, if you're a kind friend, if you're, you know, most people want to uplift others. And when we're in that role, you know, spirit like nothing more to inspire us, to help us share that love and be that love that we are.
But I think as well, as you develop, it changes, and I think that's the whole part of that that continual connecting and listening. Because initially, I know when I first began developing my spiritual connection, and I mean, there's different types of meditation. There's a meditation that you can sit to find stillness, to find greater health, a better balance. But also you can intentionally meditate to connect to spirit.
Yeah, one of my favourite words. Set your intentions.
and I think the more that you do that, the stronger that connection comes. And also but it also changes, the energy's changing. I mean, I always remember when I first started meditating, and my initial guides that made themselves aware to me when I was meditating, it felt very different to how it does now. And in those early days, I used to really like, not force it, but I would really like be very concentrated and really wanting it and everything else. But as time went on, I found as well that the more relaxed I could be with it, the easier it flowed.
Yeah. It's a bit like learning to drive a car, you know, it all seems a lot at once and it's all a bit difficult, but the more you relax into it and the more you practice it, then the easier that connection comes. I think Paul was going to talk about that connection, weren't you?
I mean, and it was
a two-way street.
Because, very much so, it's because it's about adjusting. You need to adjust to their energies and they need to adjust to yours. So the more that you can actually spend time connecting, and I'm not saying, you know, live your whole life like that, but if you can set aside regular time to sit down, to meditate and to really have the intention of talking and connecting to your spirit team, then you'll find that it actually, the way that interaction takes place will change and develop. I know in my very early days, I would get this most immense, almost like my whole body was buzzing with this loving energy, that just every part of me would really like as if it was going on crazy.
But in a really some voltage.
Put me into the socket. But in a really loving way. But then as we become more used to each other, it would then just become more subtle in what was happening. But also how long it takes, how quickly I can communicate now with spirit. As opposed to in those earlier days, I'd have to be quiet for a certain length of time before I could have any chance of really making that connection. But now it becomes a lot stronger. But you can also bring that into your everyday life. The more that you can connect to your own spiritual being, your own spiritual self, and allow that to play a stronger part within everything that you do in life. I mean, basically, as you said before, the whole point of the non-physical guides or teams that want to assist you is to help you bring about and show a greater love within your own life. And the more that you can expand love in everything that you think, everything that you do, just the way that you are, then you're actually helping creation to expand as well. And that then strengthens the connection to non-physical. And that guidance then becomes more seamless as they inspire you, working alongside you in ways that will enhance your being even more.
Yeah. So Paul, are you going to tell us a little story before we move on to a couple more things to do with spirit guides?
That my key element is that what we've just been talking about is how in my and I think for me the reason why I'm saying this is because often people think I want to connect to my spirit guides, my spirit team, but you have to be committed to it, and it takes time.
It does.
I mean, in the very early days, it would really be that I would just get these physical sensations. I wouldn't get any thoughts that come with it.
Yeah.
But then the more that I connected to them, the more that these thoughts would come through. And then that developed itself further into me. They would actually come and talk through me as a channeling. And now that's taken on an even further development where they'll actually come and I'll feel inspired to say certain things.
I think that's the thing. I think we've all had times when something's come out of our mouth and we think, why did I say that? But it was something that's really helped another person. You know, so sometimes our guides can be very subtle. I know when the first guide, well, it's hard to really define because my great-grandmother's been with me through all my life, and she made herself known to me that when she passed into spirit when I was just over 2 years old. And then my own grandmother, she appeared to me while I was pregnant, which is at another time our senses are very heightened. But my main healing guide is a Native American Indian, Chabuka, that when he used to, in fact a medium at a church in London told me about this guide, and then it was confirmed by 2 other people on completely separate occasions. And I, just like Paul, when he was close, when I'd be giving people healing, hands-on healing, I'd just be aware of this huge presence behind me, as though somebody had, you know, it's like even if somebody physical stepped into your energy field, you're just aware of them. And it was he did feel huge. And then people that used to sense him or were also, you know, intuitive in that way, had that more connection, they'd say to me, God, he's huge. I said, yeah, I really used to feel him. But obviously then you do it, like Paul said, it's a two-way street. You need to be committed to build that relationship with them. So the other side of spirit guides are the wonderful, wonderful animals that play such a vital role in our lives. And we all know that we have animals, that they touch your heart and soul. And I know that we are always guided to share a life with a particular animal, because there's some spirit and some emotional connection, energetic connection that we have with that animal. And we must remember that animals are also spirit. The spirit is incarnated into the animal, and their soul, their spirit lives on. But they have qualities that some people that are close to animals will understand this, that they can be highly evolved, highly intelligent, and also give us healing. You only have to think of, you know, if you're a bit down and you're stroking your pet, how much comfort and peace that can bring you. And I've actually found now that autistic children are very much helped by having an animal, because they have this stronger communication. So they play such an important role in our lives, and they can also be guides for us. They can give us healing, they can inspire us. And I'm going to hand you over now to Christine, because she is going to talk to us about animal totems, and how animals help us throughout our lives, and how that animal totem helps us spiritually to connect as well. So Christine, are you with us over there in Arcadia?
Hello, hello, hello. How are
wow,
you all?
I love your Christmas tree. You've put us to shame. This is ours.
We had a big Christmas tree week this week, and we got the tree up, so thought I'd show it off tonight.
Fantastic, looking really good. This was my festive offering. It's a little bit glittery.
Yes, it's lovely, very glittery, and I love your tinsel in the background.
Yes, we had that. I found that very quickly, literally about 2 minutes before we were on air. But
nice.
Lovely to see you, and I'm so looking forward to your offering of animal totems, and I bet there's lots of our viewers that are as well, because I know we've got a lot of animal lovers with us watching live, and there certainly will be in England and Europe as well. So go ahead, beautiful.
Well, I do a lot of work with animals, so that's why I was very excited to do this portion of the show tonight and talk about animal totems. You know, there really isn't like a single rule or a single belief system with regard to animal totems. There's you know, different spiritual backgrounds, there's Native American, and different people have different ideas. And I think that's great, because when it comes to spirit, I don't think any of us has the absolute definitive answer of how it works in everybody's life. So all of these tools and working with animal guides is something that's very unique to each one of us. So I'm just going to share the different ways that I have read about and also experienced in working with animal totems. I did a little bit of reading, and I learned about one that I didn't know of before called a birth totem. And there's supposedly a certain Native American, you know, tribe or belief system that talks about having everyone has a totem based on their birth date. So, you know, that is one that you could look into. It's not one I know much about, but it's just I've become aware of it. There's another belief system that that you have an entire team of animal guides that come into the world with you and that are there to guide you. And that could be true too, but how do we tune into this guidance? So, you know, a team is another one. And then just animal guides and spirits in general that might not be connected to us, but I think animals pop in and out of our lives a lot, and we run into animals a lot, or animals cross our path, and they're also here to give us a message. And then through my work in being an animal communicator, I also feel very strongly, and I have experienced with a lot of the clients that I had worked with, that our own pets, in most cases, and I really believe in all cases, but in most cases, I could find the actual link to it, that I do believe that our animals have this soul contract with us. And that they are here to help us on our soul journey with a particular lesson. And just as a little aside and something to look for those of you that do have pets, just know that most of the time when your animal has a problem, it's a reflection of something that you yourself either need to be working on or you're currently working on, but you don't recognize that you're working on it. So just know that our pets are a beautiful mirror for us. So that's another way that animals are our guides and our spirit messengers, because they're here to help us with different things. So what I thought I would share tonight was just the different ways that we can look for animal guidance, because it does come in a lot of different ways. So I know one way that I've read about, and I may have met mine, but I'm still not exactly sure what it was. But some believe that your like your birth animal, like the animal that you came in here to this world to be your totem, is the animal that you've been drawn to since you were a child. So there's a particular animal that you've just always felt a connection with. And you just thought maybe when you were younger because they were pretty or they were cute or you saw them on TV. But when you really think about it, you can't think of the connection. Or maybe you had an interaction with a certain animal, a squirrel, a deer, you know, a raccoon, who knows? But if there's an animal that you've been really, really connected to, then that's an animal that has a message for you. through its, animal medicine, which I'll give you a little, a tool, not a tool, but I'm going to show you the cards that you can use that give you some guidance on what the different animal spirits mean. Yeah. Another way animals come to you is in dreams. So an animal is important to trying to give you some sort of spirit message, because especially if it's a repetitive dream where you get the same animal coming all the time. So that's another place to look for animal guidance. Another time that animals come to me is during my meditations, and it's not always the same animal. But I know one time I did a vision quest and I went into my woods and I was out there for 3 days, and different animals came to me to give me messages that I had never connected with before. So depending on where you are in your spiritual journey, certain animals will come into your life to give you a message and work with you about, a certain spiritual lesson that you're working on.
Yeah. And
another way that animals come into our life is simply those ones that just cross our path. You'll notice that, there's certain animals that I have here on my property, but I don't always see them. But then 3 days in a row, I'll see an owl.
Yeah.
And I'll go, okay, owl is trying to tell me something. I better look up the owl totem message and find out, exactly what they're trying to share with me. Because it must have to do with something that I'm working on right now. So, and then as I mentioned before, through animal communication, those connection we have with our pets, that's another way where we get guidance and learn lessons from. So those are just all the different areas where you can look to connecting with the different animals so that you can learn whatever message that they have for you. And I wanted to mention 2 tools that you can use. And one is, if any of you haven't used this before, I highly recommend the meditation app, Insight Timer. And what I've noticed is that there's a lot of people that have meditations on there on meeting your spirit animal. And, it might be the spirit animal that's just for you in this moment. So whatever your intention is with that particular meditation is whatever spirit animal is going to come to you. So just know that I use it, and I'm actually a teacher on Insight Timer and have a couple of my own meditations on there. And Insight Timer has thousands of free meditations. So I always like to talk about it because I've been using it for years. So just know, in addition to regular meditations, those animal spirit guides are on there too. But then another one that I've used is, some of you like to use, guidance decks. And one that I like to use is called animal medicine cards.
Oh yeah, we've had those for years.
I know really Caroline has her own copy. Yeah. And what I love is that if you do run into an animal a lot, like the owl, like I had that experience where I hear owls all the time, but like 3 days in a row, an owl flew by me. I said, oh, this doesn't happen. So I will go in the book. Yeah. And I will look up owl and see what, the meaning and the essence of the energy of owl, because you're attracted to whatever energy that they are in that particular moment. So those are the very broad and very generalized way that I like to use animal guidance. And hopefully our audience will take an opportunity to try and use any of those tips and tricks and ideas that I talked about tonight. So
fantastic.
That's great. Do you know, Christine, it's so funny that sometimes it's so obvious. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Christine has a farm. And how many goats do you have there, Christine?
We're up around 25 now.
Yeah. And
with the new babies that we had born.
Goats, they are very loving. They're very family orientated, but they're very strong. And I think that sometimes reflects your qualities as well. I don't know whether you've ever thought of that. And
I know that there's particular goats in my herd that I'm very drawn to. And then I realized later, the reason I'm drawn to them is because their personalities are like mine.
Yes.
Like they reflect my personality. I'm like, oh, that's why I have such a connection with Shanti,
Yes. Yeah. And it's the same with us, and we've sort of, we've had many different animals, but I know with the horse, I had, I think one of the, I was going to say not but one of the strongest soul connections I had was with my horse, Tetley, and she'll still come to me in my dream time. And I know when she does, she's telling me to be free, to just have some movement, to think of that higher intelligence and that connection to my free spirit. And it's always so apt at the time. And like you said, you know, people just be aware of when certain animals come into your awareness frequently. It's a really good idea to even go online, you know, and just research what the qualities are of that animal, or what that spirit of that animal, remembering that their spirit is trying to communicate with us. And you know, it can be very helpful as a guide. So
well, I mean, I had recently I had an eagle fly right in front. This was in town, right in front of my car. So very unusual. So when things like that happen, then, you know, if you haven't got a book about animals, just go online and actually research it. Just put it in, and you'll get some information to give you some guidance. So it's just looking out for those little things. So, yeah.
Christine, awesome as ever. I'm sure we'll see you, but wonderful Christmas to you and your family, and we'll speak soon. Thank you so much. Excellent.
Thank you. Love being
Bye.
here.
So that was Christine. So we're going to round off the show now. Paul has a few tips and techniques, and it's going to be a little bit different tonight. We're sort of just going to share the tips and techniques because they're very similar what we both had. So I'm going to hand you over to Paul with his thoughts.
Yeah, and a lot of this has come about from the years that I've been practicing and connecting to my spirit team, and in particular over the last 30 plus years, where my spirit team Jarama have been working so strongly, and they've brought through so much guidance that have not just helped me, but helped yourself and those on the courses that we've run as well. And they've all felt such a great joy and understanding and knowing from that. But also I think as well that, as you were saying, often they would be answering, if they were talking, a question would come up in your mind, and then they would be answering that question as if they were hearing the question you were saying out loud, but you wasn't. You were just thinking.
Well, everybody that's been to our workshops and seminars, you know, we may get something up online again in the new year, all say the thing. It's like they answered everything, every question I had, because, you know, again, we are all connected. So,
but I think the essence really is, the first thing is to have some still time, some meditation, where you can actually just quieten your rational thinking mind and go beyond that, but also with the intention of connecting to your spirit team, to your spirit guides, so you can start to work with them more, you can start to feel and interact with their energies. And as I said earlier, don't try and push it, just try and be at ease with it, because then the more relaxed you are with it, no matter how long it takes, it doesn't always just happen overnight. Sometimes you'll have a bit of a spurt and then you'll sort of plateau out. But allow yourself just to stay relaxed with it. And the more you can do that, the easier that communication comes. So, and in that time, making that regular commitment to, even if you sit down at a certain time on a certain day or days, then they get used to knowing that is when you're sitting.
Yeah, and I would say to that, dedicate that time. Make that your spiritual, sacred time, because you genuinely and sincerely want your guides to help you with your personal growth, your spiritual growth, your evolution. And you can either write that down or say it in your thoughts, but when we meditate, and for years we've always done this, we really have that sacred space and we prepare. So we'll light a candle, I might burn some frankincense. We don't so much now, but you could, you know, if it helps you, if you don't like the silence, play some very gentle music in the background, but dedicate that time. And I would say always write things down, because it's too easy to forget and to disregard things that come into your mind. And when you're in that meditative state, when you've got that stronger connection to your true self, this is when the information through your heart, through your connection to your spirit guides will come through quite subtly. So as I say, it's too easy to disregard and forget. So have a meditation journal, dedicate that time and write things down.
And remember, like any good friendship, it is a two-way street. And as much as you are adjusting to connect to your spirit team, they're also adjusting to connect to you.
Yeah.
And it's all about energy and that exchange of energy and how that influences what you're doing. But I think that journaling is such a good thing, because you can also then, because you'll often forget things, especially if you're like me, you know. But if you can, once you finish it, just make a quick note of things, just jot them down. And it's good to look back on to see how you're developing, and you'll be surprised that actually you're getting a lot more, and maybe in some different ways than you think. But if you're keeping that journal, it's almost like it's a journal of your development.
Yeah, because sometimes you might get things that at that time don't make any sense, but in the days and weeks ahead you're like, oh, and that builds our trust, and it builds that belief. So was that it with that?
Yeah, I think so.
So just become more conscious, just feel that you're engaging in this dance of life in a relaxed way. Know that you all have guides, we all have them. They're always willing to communicate with us. It's just our doubt or some anxiety or that can get in the way. But thank you so much for joining us. We've really enjoyed this evening. We really appreciate it. We know your guides that are hanging around with you will really be enjoying that you've took that time. And we hope you've enjoyed the show. Whatever you're doing over the Christmas period, whether you celebrate Christmas or Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate, we wish you a really happy, peaceful Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We're taking a short break. We are going to be back in January, but we're going to be back the 3rd week. We will notify you, but that's going to be January the 20th, and we'll let you know nearer the time what that topic will be. Paul will just
and just to say that, remember that the live lounge shows are always free, but if you would like to make a donation just to help support what we're doing and keep our channel going, then head over to our website, which is SoulCrew.biz, and you'll find a donation page. And any little bit helps just to keep things moving and going. Yeah,
and email us or message us about any little insights or that come through from your guides, or if there's any little bit more information you'd like. You can also go to my personal website, which is carolinecrawford.org. I've got blogs on there about the spirit world, about the roles animals play in our lives, and also some guided it's all free, guided visualizations. But as I say, we're hoping to put some courses together in the new year. So have a wonderful holiday period. We just love you so much, don't we? So we're sending you all our love from our hearts to yours, from the Soul Crew. We wish you a beautiful holiday time. See you next time. Take care and bye for now. Lots of love. Mwah.
Look
love
after
you.
yourselves.
Take care, our beautiful soul family. See you next year, 2021. Mwah. Love you.
And keep loving yourselves too.
Yes.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.